The Weekly Warm Pipe.
All right, we're coming at you with the sequel from last week's episode. If you guys check that one out, we're talking about games that you played back in the day and they actually hold up today.
Oh, yeah.
Figured it'd be a fun topic. Last week's was the opposite, games you played back in the day and then you went back to them now and they're terrible. So you had more of a rose-colored glasses on them and you're like, I remember that being awesome. And then you try to play it and you're like, this sucks.
Yep, no good.
So we made a list and I did post late today, but we did get a lot of people chiming in on some games. So that's great. We'll get to those suggestions.
Very nice.
I did 4 NES, 4 Super Nintendo, and 3 Sega Genesis ones.
That's pretty close to what I did. I did 5 NES, 5 Super Nintendo. I could throw a Genesis on there at the end if you want me to.
Yeah, I figured I'd try to give some Genesis love.
I can think of one.
But pretty good. I'm excited for this. See what we got. Well, starting off, I'm sure we'll match on some of these here.
Probably so.
I put DuckTales on NES.
That's a really good one.
I feel like that holds up fairly well, and it's got good music. A lot of those Capcom games have held up over the years. But I mean, remember playing that back in the day, renting it and watching the cartoon a ton
Mm-hmm.
and enjoying the cartoon. So having the nostalgia for that and getting the NES game, you're like, whoa, an NES game of like one of my favorite cartoons. Like,
Yeah, it
gotta be good.
It looked really similar to the cartoon too. Like they did a good job with the graphics.
Right, for
Nailed
sure.
it.
And that, the cover was torn from the cartoon, like box art. Yeah, great gameplay. And it does have difficulty settings in case you're not as skilled as you were back in the day playing the game.
So you know what's funny about DuckTales?
Mm-hmm.
So I do appreciate that it's a good game. I think the music's amazing. I think the graphics are amazing. It controls really well. I'm just not good at it. I don't know why.
Regardless of younger or playing it now.
Yeah, I am not good at that game. And I always get frustrated and I've never beat it.
Now they do have the remake that came out on Wii U and PS3 and maybe Xbox 360. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never played it.
But that one's fairly good. It just basically has modern graphics, but they kept the 2D aspect to it and updated the music and all that. So fairly fun. But the classic one, for sure, definitely on the list.
Yeah, still great. Russ, I cheated with my first one because I could not lump these games together.
Okay.
I just put Mario 1, 2, and 3. They all hold up. All 3 of them.
I feel it's safe to say, yeah, for sure. I'm sure that would be on a majority of people's list. They play all differently, but still fun regardless.
And obviously, I think 3 is the one that people love the most.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think 2 is the one that's most likely to be called a traitor. And I think 1 is like the most classic.
Right. It's probably the one most people played first or played the most because they probably got that game and then didn't get any of the sequels for quite some time. So they probably had that one for a longer period.
Plus, I think that was like the perfect pack-in, right? Like when you played Mario 1,
Mm-hmm.
it was nothing like anything you'd ever played on Atari.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
you're like, okay, I know what I'm looking at. This is a little guy, he's jumping over mushroom people and ducks and whatever else. So you didn't have to use your imagination quite like you did on Atari. It controlled really well. And it was fun, and they did a great job marketing it with all the other stuff like the cartoon. You had like this little story to go along with this little Mario guy.
Right. And like you said, it controlled real well. It didn't need like a tutorial level. The first level was your tutorial level hidden
Exactly.
kind of subconsciously. You're like,
Right.
oh, okay. If you're just running and you don't jump, you get killed by that first Goomba. And you're
Yep.
like, oh, these guys kill me if I touch them, so I need to jump over them.
Yeah.
and
Yep.
then you just kinda learn from there.
The game developers put everything in that first level that you would need to know pretty much through the entire game,
Mhm.
except for maybe swimming and lava and a few other things, but for the
Right.
most part, you got
Yeah.
it.
And it's still fun to go back, like, I watch, Cosmic is a YouTuber who holds some world records for Super Mario Brothers, and he puts out a ton of different content where he'll do different challenges with that game, with, like, speed running or, like, trying to beat the game, a certain way on it, and it's like, they're still finding things out today, being such an old
Isn't
game,
that
so
crazy?
still holds up and, yeah, people enjoy it. What else we got? Had to put it on the list, Contra.
We have a match. That's my number 2.
I mean, you could almost bundle it together with Super C.
Yep.
I didn't put quite as much time with Super C, and I almost wanna say, personally, I don't think I played Super C back in the day.
I don't think I did either. I think I knew about it, but I don't
Mhm.
think I played it.
But the first Contra for sure. I probably wasn't that great at it back in the day, but
Me either.
finding the Konami code certainly helped get me a little bit further.
I remember the first time I beat it, uh, when I got back into retro games, I thought I had done, like, the craziest thing ever. I beat Contra, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'd done it. And then I met Megadan 29 and all my accomplishments felt terrible when I realized he could do it with his eyes closed and the controller upside down. Literally, I'm not joking, I've seen Dan beat Contra with the controller upside down.
See,
How
that's
how
something. There you go, adding extra
that's
difficulty.
crazy. My brain would be so turned around, I wouldn't know what to do.
That's it. Yeah, certainly Contra's a good one for sure, where simple enough gameplay, right? You're just running to the right, shooting the bad guys.
Run and guns, where it came from.
And they are remaking it as well, so there's gonna be a new, reimagining kinda. Because if you played Contra 4 on the DS, kinda something like that, because they kinda redid the original with that a little bit.
Contra is one of the few games that I think the NES version is better than the arcade
That's what I
version.
was gonna say. I don't think I put any time into the arcade version of Contra.
If you have the Contra collection on your Switch, you probably have that arcade version.
Oh, okay. I didn't pick up the collection yet,
Oh, I have it downloaded, like the what's it called?
like the digital copy
Digital,
of it.
thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's the word I'm
Yeah.
looking for.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
it'd be interesting to see, like, even that, like, Double Dragon on arcade, I played the Nintendo version first, so
yeah. Alright, so we got Contra out of the way. I'm gonna lay you up a softball here. All I gotta do is knock it out of the park. You ready? Mike Tyson's Punch-Out!
Oh, I didn't put that one down
I
on
mean,
there.
that game is incredible. Still to this day, one of my favorite NES games.
Mhm.
I'll never get rid of it. Uh, it's like they did that game so well. Um, Trying to
Eh
figure out the different patterns. It's basically a
right.
game of patterns, is all it is.
You could almost say a rhythm game.
Yes,
It's like a disguised rhythm game.
it very much is a rhythm game. And I don't care what you say, Russ. I believe with enough practice,
Mhm.
you can beat it. Enough practice and a little tutorial,
Yeah,
maybe watch a little walkthrough so you
right.
know what's coming. I did do that, I'm not gonna lie. I cheated a little bit.
I've only beaten it on the 3DS, and that was, Mr. Dream version,
Mhm.
and that was with save states, so technically I didn't beat it,
You can do it. You
but
can do it.
yeah,
Yeah,
you
I mean,
need to. And again, same thing, I never played the arcade version of Punch-Out!, and
me either.
I have it on the, arcade one-up that I have the Raspberry Pi in, and I, tried it the other night, and I'm like, "I don't really know what the buttons do either, like, this plays so different," like
I think another thing that made that game so memorable was the cast of characters.
Mhm,
King Hippo, Great Tiger, Soda Popinski. I mean, Mike Tyson, like the greatest boxer of all time, probably. Maybe someone might say Muhammad Ali, but like in the late '80s, Tyson. You mean everybody knew who he was,
mhm. Oh, yeah,
biting ears
absolutely.
off and all. Yeah,
Post it. Um, yeah, it holds up for sure. Nintendo classic. Not much more you could say on it.
Not
It's good.
really.
It's good then. It's fun to pop it in now and give it a go, even if you can't get too far.
That's
Even if
it.
you just get up to King Hippo.
Even if that's as far as you ever got, still a great time.
Right, absolutely. I did put on my list, maybe it's on yours, Castlevania 1.
So I never played that as a kid.
Oh, okay.
Sadly.
Yeah, I definitely remember renting this one from one of the rental stores and it being a fun time, enjoying. My dad would watch a lot of the horror movies too, so it had that aesthetic in it. Definitely didn't beat it back then. I probably got to, I almost want to say Medusa. Maybe I made it to the Grim Reaper. Not 100% sure, but certainly like the aesthetic of it and the music.
Yeah.
Good time now for sure. Absolutely. I played that one. I remember more Castlevania 2,
Yeah.
but I feel like a lot of people are going to be like, "Oh, Castlevania 2 sucks. Like, I don't like it."
I wish I would have played any of them as a kid.
Mhm.
Never did. Sadly, none of my friends had it.
Mhm.
I never played it. If I did play it, it is so far back in the depths of my memory, I just don't remember. But I don't think anybody had it. I feel like I
Yeah.
would have remembered that.
Yeah, Castlevania 2 definitely stands out more because it's more involved, right? Castlevania 1, it's just move right to left to right, repeat, get to the
Yep.
boss. Castlevania 2, you're going to different towns, you're trying to find the manors to go in, so
Yep.
you gotta look through Nintendo Power, so
You know
all
what's
that kinda stuck out to me.
when I beat that game, I did use my Nintendo Power map. And as convoluted as that map in Nintendo Power looks, it actually works.
Oh, it's like a dumbed down version
I mean,
of a map
it
essentially,
you
but
have to use your brain a little bit, but it
yeah,
is accurate,
okay,
which I thought was very cool.
perfect.
Um, all right, we are burning through this list, Russ, but uh up next, this is a game I played at my friend Chris's house, and it was one of the first games I wanted back when I got into Nintendo. It's a shooter, it is Life Force.
Okay.
I mean,
I haven't played it recently, I know you
not
talked a
much you
lot
can
about
do
it.
wrong with it. You fly either vertical or horizontal depending on the level. You shoot. The graphics are great. The music's great. I mean, Konami made it. It's hard as crap. You do have the Konami code, but that first level sucks you in with those teeth and the squiggly arms and fighting the eyeball at the end in the brain.
Mhm. I feel
So
like
good.
any of the, any of the well-made shooters would hold up over time for sure, because the format hasn't really changed. If you make a shooter today, it's just
Yeah,
get the power-ups, put a bunch of stuff on screen, you gotta shoot, big bosses, boom, rinse and
I,
repeat.
and I personally think Life Force is superior to Gradius.
Okay.
Come at me, bro.
Leave it in the comments.
That's right.
Alright, my last NES game I put on there, game you played growing up, still fantastic today, Tetris.
Ooh,
Puzzle game, simple puzzle game.
simple puzzle, great
Now
music.
now they have the Tetris World Championships. So many people discovering the game nowadays and enjoying it and competing. Like I was at the Portland Retro Gaming Expo, that's where they have the championship finales at, and the people playing are so young. So like they didn't play this obviously when it came out back in the 80s. They're
Nope.
discovering it now and they're enjoying it so much so that they practice it repeatedly to get so good to be in a championship. So definitely held the test of time.
From Russia with love. Not what the first one says, the Tenjin version.
Oh, it might. Yeah, it might say that on the
I think it says it on the box because it was made in Russia.
right. I still gotta watch. There's a Tetris movie if you guys haven't seen it, but I think it's only on Apple TV.
Hmm.
But it's
Yeah,
like a documentary essentially of how Tetris was made.
there you go. All right, my last one. The game that brought me back to the NES, the game I probably took the most for granted as a kid that I owned. Batman.
Ooh. The original Batman.
Sunsoft made it. It's got the dark aesthetic. It's got incredible music
Mhm.
as per all Sunsoft games. And the challenge is just right. And it doesn't feel better than when you finally knock the Joker down and throw him off the bell tower.
Right.
So hyped. I love it. Love that game. Batman is amazing. So happy that for whatever reason, it came back into my brain that day that I never beat it. And that's what made me pick up the old NES Square controller again. And while I'm sitting here today with Russ, and think
Boom.
Batman.
Batman. Wow, so that's another one I need to officially beat.
Dude, you can do it.
We'll see. Gotta do my training. I feel like we should probably get into what everyone else is saying. We had quite a few people jump in, and then we can get back to some of ones that made our list.
That's perfect because I'm done with the NES games.
Right. So those are our NES. We'll jump on to Super Nintendo and some of the other ones after, but we'll hear what you guys have to say.
What did you say? What did you say?
Springfield, let's hear from you.
Let's hear from you. And we'll jump over to Instagram. You can follow us at the Weekly Warp Pipe on there. Scruffy GIF, Super Mario 3, TMNT 2, says Star Fox for Super Nintendo and 64, and Tasmania SNES, Halo as well.
The only one I'm going to disagree with is
Okay.
Tasmania for the SNES. I do not think that game is fun.
I can't remember playing it. I might have played it once, but it's not standing out to me. So,
I don't even know how you would describe it. It's almost like a race car game.
mhm,
Like it's like Rad Racer meets the Tasmanian Devil,
okay,
where you're running or tornadoing down the road through the
mhm,
desert. You're trying to eat the what are those birds called? Kiwi birds? I don't know. Some kind of little birds.
I don't know.
And it's just like repetitive. I don't know. Scruffy GIF. I'm sorry. I don't. I respectfully disagree. I'm glad that you love it. I don't.
Fair enough. We got Nostalgia Junkies podcast, and they commented in with Star Fox 64. While the graphics are definitely out of date, it doesn't corrupt the gameplay. Flight is still pretty good, and the choose your path game mechanic keeps it interesting. Yeah, this way you could have different playthroughs of it. Second choice was Super Mario Bros. 3. It's a classic. It's fun. It has the Tanuki suit and frog suit. Super Mario Bros. 3 became the heart and soul for future Mario
I
platformers.
agree with that and love that statement.
Yeah, it's a good. It's the blueprint essentially for any of those 2D ones. And then Retroholic 16. Hey guys, there are obvious ones like Super Mario World, Super Mario 3, and Ocarina of Time, but I think Donkey Kong 64, Banjo Kazooie, and a lot of the arcade style sports games are still super fun and hold up really well.
I agree with those statements.
I've never played Donkey Kong 64 before.
I haven't either, actually, but I have played Banjo Kazooie.
You got to have the expansion pack for your at 64 to play Donkey Kong 64. So make sure you got that.
That's right.
Let's see what else we got. The community page over here on our YouTube. It's funny enough, one of my buddies, Gannyman, was like, a lot of people don't know this page exists. The community page on YouTube. Essentially, if you're only using maybe like a Fire Stick or a computer, maybe to watch YouTube stuff, these won't show up
Oh,
in your if you're on your phone through YouTube and you're scrolling, you'll see community posts pop in between there.
I'm
So
surprised neither one of us said Ninja Gaiden since you have it so nicely displayed there.
right, put it on. I figure that'd be a nice eye catcher for the question. But if you do head to our YouTube page, there are different tabs with videos, playlists, and there's one called Community. So we'll post on there, and you can do pictures and polls and stuff. All right, we got This is Tony Sedini here. I think that all of the Konami beat 'em up arcade games, X-Men, Simpsons, TMNT, all hold up so well. They look great, sound great, and play great. And the best part is nowadays we can play them at home without putting in quarters to keep playing.
Yes.
Yeah, or you could get one of the arcade one-ups of them if you wanted to display it in your home. The bad guy Mike Worley says Contra is a game I could still play anytime and enjoy every minute. Either the NES or the arcade version. Interesting. Yeah, I can't say I got very far in the arcade version, but
I can't say every time the very few times I've played the arcade version, I just want to be playing the NES version, so I just turn it off and play the NES.
right. 8-bit retro junkie. I feel like this has specifics for each console for sure, but I'll go with Super NES, NES, Sega Genesis, and N64. All right, what's he got? Breaks it down for us. The NES, obvious, with Super Mario Bros. 3, Contra, River City Ransom, and Dr. Mario. I still play Dr. Mario every few months or so and get addicted to it each time.
NES addicted.
Nice. For Super Nintendo, he's got Super Mario Kart, Donkey Kong Country, arguably my all-time favorite, TMNT Turtles in Time, a personal fan favorite with Pocky and Rocky and Mega Man X.
There you go.
I will say it's funny enough with Mario Kart, I have the Mario Kart in my car for, like, car shows since I drive the Mario Kart car, and I'll be playing it at the shows, and I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know how much I enjoy this." Like, I think
What did you say, Russ?
I was like, "I'm not sure how much I enjoy this here." With,
What,
like
the original Mario Kart?
yeah,
No
like
way.
it's good. Maybe it's just because 'cause I'm playing outside and stuff. You know what? I get to the ghost level, and I can't see anything because it's such a
Okay.
dark level.
You know what's so I can't figure out how I want to explain this, but the first time I saw Super Mario Kart, it
Mhm.
blew my mind because it took characters out of one world that I knew and put them in this how would you describe it? Just like a completely different setting. And I
Right.
was like, I can't believe they thought to do this, but it was like I almost felt like they couldn't do it. Does that make sense what I'm saying? I don't know if anyone
Yeah,
else experienced that, but I was like, I can't believe these Mario all these characters are doing this go-kart race. Like who thought of this? This is crazy. Like I loved it, but
Mhm.
it was like that was only something that could have started on the Super Nintendo.
And then it just, I would say, snowball from there. Because
Oh,
then you
it's a
start getting,
phenomenon now, right?
"Oh,
There's
let's do
Mario Kart 8
golf.
Deluxe and
Let's do Mario Party," and we do mini games with them, and we'll do
yeah. Well,
what
it
else can we
became
throw them in?
and so after that, then it never seemed weird to me to see them outside of Mario games.
Right.
But anyway, it just wanted to throw that out there, but it blew my mind.
Fair enough. And then moving on, he says Sega Genesis, a total classic with Sonic the Hedgehog, of course, but I was also a huge fan of the Game Mercs. Really awesome military type style shooter.
Never
It's a
heard of
game
it.
that doesn't get enough love, so there you go. Game Mercs.
You just taught me something new.
And N64, as discussed last week, a ton of just hot garbage on this console. But a few games still exist and carried over to today. Personally, I think Mario 64 is a innovative masterpiece. Mario Kart 64 still holds up. Banjo-Kazooie is also still a fun classic. Diddy Kong Racing is a gem too. And another fun one that still holds up for the 64 would be 1080 Snowboarding. Killer soundtrack too. Yeah, I played a little bit of the 1080. Definitely a lot of Diddy Kong Racing. I thought it was so cool because they had 3 different style vehicles you could choose from. So it wasn't just like with Mario Kart, you're racing carts. Diddy Kong Racing, you could do a plane, a little like raft type thing, or a car.
Interesting.
All right, we got Brian Starlord, Secret of Mana or Mana. might be an obvious answer, but I love that game. You can play it over and over, and it still looks great, plays great. I'm about due for another playthrough. Been a few years. Nice. And I believe they remade it too. I think you could get that on Switch. Frederick, Castlevania. He says Ninja Gaiden. There you
There
go.
you go. Thank you for saying that.
Super Mario Brothers 3 and Kirby. Phoenix Cerberus. Final Fantasy 3 and Chrono Trigger. Wii Sports Resort as well.
Wii Sports. That's awesome.
Well, Wii Sports Resort, that was the sequel. I've never played that one.
I've sold quite a few.
If for some reason the sports ones always seem to sell. I do have Discord. I posted in there to kind of see if I could get some people chiming in. I don't know how I can share the screen to that, but I'll just read what they said. We got Marvin responded with Kerbal Space Program, which I've never heard of this game before, but
Me
apparently they're
either.
coming out with a
Interesting.
sequel. Kerbal Space Program and the Wally game. So I'm not sure what that came out on.
Wally. Like
It's got
a Disney game?
Right, yes. What else? We got Bilbo Baggins coming in.
All the way from the Shire.
Sonic 2, Super Mario Brothers 3, Contra/Super C, Street Fighter 2, X-Men versus Street Fighter on Saturn. Never played that one. Jackal, me and Jay's favorite.
Jackal's great.
Turtles in Time, and Mega Man 3. And then he chimed in again with a couple more. He did mention Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, NBA Jam, F-Zero, Mario Kart 64, Batman Returns, and Super Bomberman 2. And Casval says all the Metal Slug games. Shows were like on like Neo Geo.
Oh yeah, Metal Slug. I have one of those on Switch.
Yeah, I think they did end up porting some on. Or you could get SNK like collection and stuff. Light gun game series like Time Crisis and Point Blank. Now I played Time Crisis in the arcade for sure. Light gun games are super fun. The game Mule, some Road Rash. Trying to think,
Mule. Like on NES?
maybe he has the the M.U.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yep, that's so funny. That is kind of a cool game.
I'm trying to think of others I played recently and not just make it up. Dynasty Warriors, he adds.
Hello, Green Gossamer.
And
That's
then
from Mule, sorry.
Oh, that's from Mule.
Yeah.
Ganny Man jumps in with I just played through Parasite Eve and found it very playable today. I actually really love some of the cutscenes when they are in the police car. It just has this really cool but simplistic visual, and the FMV videos are all pretty fun to watch. I guess clarifying what you mean by held up helps too, because I don't think there is a shortage of SNES games that aren't still very playable today. But I'll pick one for you, UN Squadron.
Oh yeah. And that's probably true. I would say a lot of SNES games hold up.
Right. They're almost like timeless and classic. I guess hold up for us. I'm curious on, I guess, the new people playing it. Like, would they enjoy it?
Yeah, hard to say.
Because it's different perspective of us where we enjoyed it as a kid and now we're going back to it. And it's like, well, I put so much time into it already. I'm sure I can find some way to enjoy this.
Yeah.
I did have my buddy, the Deviant Rich, on Twitter. I just posted it out on there as well. And he mentions Berserk on
That's
the
it.
Atari.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah. He
Wow.
says simple by today's standards, but infinitely replayable and fun today.
Cool.
And then we had 2 people on Facebook.
You got it out everywhere, Russ.
I was like, we took too long to get the topic going. I'm like, I need this in 2 hours. Who do we have here on Austin Mills? When I started going to my friends' houses, N64 was popular system. So we played a ton of Mario Party, Mario Kart, and GoldenEye pretty much anywhere we went. Wait, You know what? Is this did I pick the wrong? This is the wrong post here. So let's go here. This is from last week's topic. There's our post. Okay. Matthew Durkin. Well, here we'll stick with Austin because Austin also commented. He said, I could still replay any of the Legend of the Zelda games, especially Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask. Without fail, Super Mario World and Yoshi's Story always takes me back to my childhood, remembering how hard my family and I tried to find all the secrets and alternative paths without any way to look up how to do it.
Yes.
There you go. Matthew Durkin chimes in and says, honestly, a ton of games have held up really well. On the NES, you have the Mario games, most of the Mega Man games, Contra, Super C, and the Castlevania games. On the SNES, you have the Mario games again, Mega Man X, Castlevania, Turtles in Time, Link to the Past, Donkey Kong Country games, and Super Metroid. Genesis has a ton of shooters that are still amazing, plus games like Castlevania, Shinobi 3, Rocket Knight Adventures, and Gunstar Heroes. Even the N64 managed to have some games that are still play great, like Ocarina of Time, Mario Kart 64, and Star Fox 64.
So, you know what I just thought of, Russ?
Mm.
I think he was asking about games that hold up. I think the stipulation that maybe we didn't overemphasize was games that we played as a kid
Hmm.
that still hold up. And because like a lot of those games that were just listed, I was thinking were great, but also a lot of them I did not play as a kid.
Okay.
So therefore I couldn't use those games
In your list.
in
So
my
to speak.
criteria because while I can agree that playing those back then and playing them today probably would have been great, I didn't play some of those back then.
Right. Yeah.
So I guess out of the ones I did play, that's why Hold Up seems like it could be a very uh vast majority of the games, but because we
Hmm.
only played certain ones, I think that's why it was a little more niche.
Right.
Just thought I'd
Gotcha.
clarify that.
And then we had one more from my buddy George jumped in and said Mario on NES and Bubble Bobble.
There you go.
Which Bubble Bobble, yeah, was a good one for sure. I remember renting that plenty of times. And funny how one song can carry that game and not get annoying
That is pretty interesting.
and still be fun.
Yeah, yeah, it worked. It doesn't work for many, but for that one it did.
All right, we got a few more on our list here. And
So
again, like Jay's stipulation of we personally played these growing up and now we're coming back to them as an adult and they're like, all right, still enjoy this.
yeah, so we've only matched on one so far, surprisingly.
Right. Let's see. I guess I'll go.
Okay, yeah.
Most of these were already mentioned on my list, but I put Chrono Trigger, Super Nintendo.
See, never played it as a kid, but I can agree.
Yeah. Got distinct memories of level grinding, get my characters up, going back and there again, I probably haven't gotten all the endings in that game because there's multiple.
Right.
So certainly a good time to go back and play
I still gotta finish my original playthrough.
it.
So I went the super easy route here. But this game blew my mind and it made me buy the Super NES Mario World.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Mario World was the perfect continuation of the Mario Brothers series. I think it took everything that Mario 3 used to make Mario games great,
Hmm.
but then threw Mario in this dinosaur world where everything's named after delicious treats and gave him a dinosaur to ride. Boom, mine explodes.
Right. Yeah. You're like, what is this? What is
And
this
and,
extra?
and added in Rainbow. What was the name of that road? Star Road.
Hmm.
When you
Yep.
found Star Road, you thought you had done the raddest thing ever.
You're like, what, more levels? And all the level names are also like rad and like,
Tubular,
yeah,
gnarly.
right.
Or when you found the top bridge.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Or the other thing that I just thought I was like the smartest, cleverest kid in the whole world. I think it's on one of the two bridge levels, but you actually have to there's two ways to beat the level. So it's got the flashing red. So you know there's two ways to do it. But when you go through the first, I guess, cut the tape, and you see it get dark. As you see it getting dark, you see another tape just beyond that one. So you have to fly with Yoshi under the first tape, jump off of Yoshi and sacrifice his life to land behind the tape, and then walk through the second one. And when I did that without any kind of cheats or knowledge, and I just figured it out on my own, I was like, I am the smartest person alive.
You just get that much more of the accomplishment. You feel good.
Yeah. Sorry
I
for the
dig it.
long story there.
It's good. That's what people like. They like those backstories.
That's right.
Other games that hold up again, Donkey Kong Country and Super Nintendo. I was super pumped to play that growing up because I got the VHS tape in the mail from Nintendo Power, and I was like, "This is going to be the best game ever." So I put a lot of time into it, and then going back today, it's fantastic. I still have to get they did do a remake of it, Donkey Kong Country Returns. I think came out on the Wii, and I'm not 100% sure, but maybe the Wii U.
I think I have it on the Wii or Wii U. I don't remember which one, but I have it on one of the two.
Yeah, but classic music, 2-player, like super fun. The others probably hold up so much, but I didn't play those growing up. For whatever reason, I played the first one and then knew nothing about the sequels like until later.
So I never played that game. Well, let me explain this fully. My biggest memory of Donkey Kong Country is when Best Buy used to have the gaming section in the middle of the store. And in the middle of the store, they had this huge TV screen that you could see as soon as you walked in the front door. And whatever game was being played on the console was on that TV. And the first time I remember going into a Best Buy, it was Donkey Kong Country being played on that big TV. And so that's my only memory of playing it at Best Buy. So a couple months ago, I decided to play it at my mom's house on the Super Nintendo Classic. And I got to the level with the water music. And I remember I sent a text to Ron Man Gaming, who is a Super NES aficionado. And I was like, dude, this music is so good from this level. And he's like, oh, yeah, everybody knows that. And because I didn't play it, I didn't know that was like this well known thing that everyone loves this water level music from Donkey Kong Country.
Oh, yeah. It's funny enough, I have like a music YouTube channel. I haven't done much to it recently. It's called 8-Bit Bliss. So it's just video game music on the channel. And I have I think it's a 10-hour loop of that track over a black screen with, I think, added water, like wave sound effects to it. So if you want to use it to fall asleep,
Yeah, that
it's got some
music,
views
that freaking song is so rad
for sure. And relaxing.
and relaxing. All right, Russ, my next one on my list is Street Fighter 2.
Oh, that was on my list.
Played it all the time. Loved playing with Ken and Ryu. Loved that game because if you had a buddy, you could fight him. And if you didn't have a buddy, you could play the computer. And that was just as fun.
Yeah, super easy, like you said, to pick up and play, even if you didn't know the special moves. And playing it in the arcade and being able to take that experience home with you was like something you're like, what? And now, I even got the arcade one up of the Street Fighter
Yeah.
2. So
much harder to do a Hadouken with the joystick than with your D-pad.
yeah, that's why you needed the what was it called on Super Nintendo? They had the NES Advantage, but it wasn't.
Yeah, like the ACSI pad or whatever it was called.
You could use that.
Yeah.
So that was on my list, and then the last one was Mega Man X.
Okay.
Which is super fun, straightforward game, like 16-bit Mega Man, great music. Played it growing up. I actually made a video. I have a VHS tape of me playing Mega Man X. The only downside is you don't see me. It's just my gameplay of playing it.
I would love to see young Russ playing that.
That would have been sweet. But me and my friend had found out, if we hooked the VCR up to our Super Nintendo, we could record it with a blank tape.
That's so rad.
But yeah, going back to it now, still good.
All right, this is a game my dad bought me for my 13th birthday. I'd spent all summer playing it at the Wild Water and Wheels in Surfside Beach, South Carolina. You could be Cody, you could be Guy, you could be Hager, but not on the SNES game, Final Fight. And that I do have an arcade one up of,
Nice.
but I got to get it fixed. It's broke right now, and they told me I have to have my original receipt to get it fixed.
Oh,
So I've
wow.
been scouring this room. Sorry if I just hit my mic. Because I know I have that receipt. I just don't know where it is.
Tucked away in a folder somewhere.
Somewhere. Who knows?
Nice. Yeah. Final Fight. And a lot of those like beat 'em up style games for sure. Still great today.
Yep.
Which made my list on Sega Genesis. It's TMNT Hyperstone Heist.
Nice.
I think I streamed that either this year or last year and went through and beat the whole game. And I was like, this one's super fun. Yeah, I had a good time with that one for sure.
Yep.
Classic beat 'em up style game. And I haven't played it yet, but I did pick it up, the Shredder's Revenge, and it's it's basically using the same format.
Yep. And guess what I have on my list?
You got Turtles in Time.
The brother game, Turtles in Time.
Nice.
Loved it as a kid, love it as an adult. I think I just told a story recently about buying it. I think on our last podcast, buying it, about 2003. Still have that same copy. So glad I kept it. And I don't know. I don't know what the consensus is on which game's better, Turtles in Time or Hyperstone Heist, but I imagine they're both pretty dang awesome.
Right. Good time either way. I did put on my list a game I'd like to go back to and kind of see if it holds up. Just because I just recently beat the God of War game on PS5. I kind of want to go back to the PS2 and play. There's two God of War games on that. Now they play completely different style. They're more of a, I guess, venture beat 'em up style gameplay. Whereas with these new ones, they're more open world. But I'm curious if it still holds up, if I'll have a good time playing it.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. I never played them, so
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see if I have time to go around to that and play some God of War on PS2.
like Kevin McAllister with his microwave cheese dinner. I'll give it a whirl.
Nice.
All right. I got two more Super NES ones. I'm going to go with one of the greatest sports titles of all time, NHL 94. EA Sports. It's in the game.
Nice.
I mean, that game was so fast. You could pull off awesome shots. It's got all the 1994 NHL teams and complete rosters. It was just a really fun. Me and my friend TJ played it on his Sega all the time.
Hmm.
He was always the Canucks and played with Pavel Bure. I was always the Penguins. Played with Mario Lemieux, and I hated it when he beat me. But super fun game. Still holds up today.
And I think that's the base game they use for, like, they do the modded one so you can get NHL 2023, but
Right.
it's on Sega and they just update the roster with the guys.
It's so rad.
What do you got? What's your last one?
Oh, so you don't have any more?
That was it.
All right. So my last one was just the shooter that I bought for like $20 back in the day. A lot of people complain that this game's too easy, but I'm terrible at shooters, so it's like perfect for me. Darius Twin. Cool little shooter.
Mhm.
Graphics are great. I think the music is criminally underrated. And one of the things that I think makes Darius games really neat is most of the enemies are aquatic themed. So you're fighting like a big robotic whale or a turtle or a seahorse, or a shark, stuff like that. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, because mostly these are shooters are in space, right? You're
Uh-huh.
fighting all the space aliens and stuff. So switch it up. Let's
Yep.
do some motion stuff.
Yep, pretty cool. I thought it was sweet.
Nice. Yeah, so that was the topic for today. It's kind of almost like diving into that nostalgia we want you guys to feel when tuning into the weekly warp pipe, going into that warp pipe and going back and like, you know what, I had fun with these games back in the day, but would I still have fun with them now?
Right.
And these are some of the titles, you know, we
These are
encourage
some
you
of
to
the
check
games,
out.
right? We still like to play to this day.
And a lot of them you can pop in, like Jay said, play them for 15 minutes. You kind of get your fix and you're
Yeah.
like, yeah, that was a good game. Got through a few levels and try something else.
I would say most of these, especially on my Super Nintendo list, you could play for 15, 20 minutes and be like, all right, cool. I felt like I played a game today.
Right. I accomplished something. I could still be classified as a retro gamer.
Shoot, you can beat Contra in like 25 minutes if you're really good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. With the Konami code.
That's right. Or not. With your controller upside down like Megadan.
We'll see. Give us a call, guys. We got a phone number. You can leave us a message about future topics, about maybe a game you went back to and were surprised that you enjoyed. 949-682-9277 is the phone number. It's in the description of all our videos, too, if you need to write that down. And a quick shout out to our Patreon supporters. We got Dan and Nicole's Treasures Untold, Joe Sheevy, Trace Living Good, Samantha Chang, Rodney Torres, and Retroholic 16. Much appreciate all the support you give me and the show.
And me as the co-host.
There we go. Check us out on the web at theweeklywarpipe.com. It's got all our videos, all the merch you can get, stickers, hats, t-shirts, mugs.
Where's my mug? It's usually sitting here for me to show. Oh, here we go. It's got a bunch of crap in it.
Cheers. So, as always, guys, I'm Russ Lyman. Keep your world fun bit by bit. We will see you next week.